What's up, everybody? Celtic Character back on our video to get those 10s and 20 views. Yes, this video was posted on Saturday, but life got real. It's still kind of real, but I need to stay consistent because if I stop doing videos and if I miss a week, I feel like I'll just keep missing weeks and it just keeps snowballing. But today, we are getting to the final division of my way too effing early NFL season prediction, the NFC East. As for logos, there they are. I still think the Eagles look better with the Kelly Green. Not much I can do with these three, realistically. So, yeah, that's how it came out. But we are starting off with the New York Giants. Best case scenario for the Giants, since I am wearing actually blue, is probably um, Daniel Jones doesn't suck. Like, I really don't see that much promise in this team at all. Yeah, Daniel Jones doesn't suck, and somehow their offensive line plays well. That being said, I still think this could be the worst best case scenario. Because I'll give you the win against Minnesota. If anytime I'm hesitant on a team, you ought to get the win in best case, but yet worst case. You would beat the Commanders. Like, I think that's the only team you probably can sweep is the Commanders in the best case scenario. You beat the Browns. You probably split with the Cowboys and the Eagles. This was at home, so we'll give you that win. Beat the Seahawks. Lose to the Bengals. Even in the best case scenario, I don't see you beating the Bengals. Like I said, you probably split with the Eagles, so I'll give you this win. Beat the Steelers. Beat the Commanders. It's best case, so I'll give it to you, even though I think this is probably about we're a little ahead of you in that. Week 11 bye, and you only got one loss. Lose to the Bucks. I think the Bucks are a little above the Panthers, at least when you look at like the stands of hey, what they did last year. Lose to the Cowboys. Beat New Orleans. Lose to the Falcons. Lose to the Falcons. Lose to the Ravens. Beat the Falcons. Beat the Colts. Lose to the Eagles. So that puts you at 12-5 in a best case scenario. No, surprisingly a lot better than I thought you would do. But then again, I should remember you guys did come in last in your division, so you should have the softest schedule of everybody. But if there's a best case scenario, we have to do a worst case scenario, and that worst case scenario is Daniel Jones sucks. You paid him a lot of money to be a average to below average quarterback, which is still better than your average Joe. But that being said, I in a worst case scenario, do I need to go through all of them all? I'm actually scrolling to see if there's a win in plausible. Yeah, I think you have one plausible win in a worst case scenario. Like as I'm scrolling through because I don't feel like editing that much. This is all because I don't feel like editing. Like all this is a loss. Even against Carolina, it's a loss. The only game in a worst case scenario that I think you have a shot of winning is this one. Atlanta might be just as bad as you are, if not worse. So this is the only win I'm giving the New York Giants in a worst case scenario, putting you 1-16. Yeah, I know I should. I usually go one by one, but I have still, like I said, real world stuff dealing with. In reality, looking at the Giants, I probably say in a realistic scenario, you're probably looking at like 4 wins for the 6-win ratio. Like somewhere in there will be realistically where you guys are. You probably are drafting top 5, and you probably should go draft a quarterback. I don't know, maybe Dion's kid. But next up, which I have to adjust the logo because it is small, is the Washington Commanders. Best case scenario for the Commanders. Your quarterback, I think you guys drafted a quarterback. Once they drafted the quarterback from LSU. I literally woke up about like 20 minutes ago, so my brain's not working. Let's see. Yeah, Jaden Daniels, LSU. Yeah, he's the guy. He is good. He steps up. He comes right in, does everything you would want him to be. Like, yeah, your team didn't play great last year, but you have weapons. You have an okay defense as long as the new coach comes in and runs it properly. So, yeah, so there is some slight hope for you. In that case, you start off with a nice win against the Jets. Unfortunately, I still have you losing to Miami. Like, even the worst case scenario, best case scenario, Miami is better. Oh, yeah, that's preseason. Never mind. You start off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll give you that win. Like I said, I like the weapons you have. So there is that. You would easily sweep the Giants and lose to the Bengals. Even the best case scenario, I like the Bengals a lot better than I like the Commanders. Beat the Cardinals. Beat Cleveland. Lose to Baltimore. It is what it is. You beat Carolina. Unfortunately, that is what it is. You beat the Bears. You beat the Giants. That is actually a very nice little path right there. If this is actually a really nice path added in week 10 with a win against the Steelers. But yeah, look at this. You got, coming off a tough game, you got Carolina, who would have had the number 1 pick, the Bears, who are a bomb tier team, the Giants, who are a bomb tier team, and the Steelers, who are unknown. So that's actually really good. Best case scenario, you split with the Eagles. Sorry. But this is at Philly, so this is a loss. Best case scenario, you probably split with Dallas. This is at home, so you beat them there. Beat the Titans. Week 14 bye. My God, someone doesn't like you. Beat the Saints. Beat the Eagles. Beat the Falcons. And then you lose to the Cowboys at the very end, which will put you at 13-4 if I did my math correctly. This is actually a very favorable thing. Like, even in like a worst case scenario, unlike the Giants, you actually have a couple of plausible wins on this season. Because in the worst case scenario, Daniel Jones struggles like Bryce Young struggled last year. That offensive line doesn't keep up. The new coaching staff takes a giant step backwards when it comes to the team overall. So let's go through it. You lose to the Bucks. In a worst case scenario, you probably split with the Giants. So here's that first win of the season. Lose to the Bengals. In a worst case scenario, I still like you more than I like the Cardinals. That's a second win of the season. Lose to Cleveland. Lose to the Ravens. Lose to the Panthers. Like I said, I'm actually higher on the Panthers than probably most people. I'm going so like, I'm not sure, so it's in the loss. Sorry. That's just the rules against the Bears. Lose to the Giants. Lose to the Steelers. I think you lose out. Yeah. Lose to the Eagles. No, I think you have one more win. Lose to the Cowboys. Lose to the Titans. The god-awful bye. Lose to the Saints. Lose to the Eagles. Beat the Falcons. The Falcons, in my opinion, I have no idea where they're headed. And then you finish season off by losing to the Cowboys, which will put you at 3-14, if I am mathing correctly. But overall, this is actually a pretty favorable schedule. Like, you got the Falcons. Like I said, that week, 7 to 10 is all very winnable games between Carolina, Bears, Giants, Steelers. Those are all very winnable. And you got the Cardinals. I think your schedule is far more favorable than actually the Giants' schedule. So I don't see a reason why you're not somewhere in that 7 to 9 win ratio, because it's like there are winnable games, and it really will come down to how well does that quarterback play. Moving on to America's team, and a team that's probably the most, or at least second most hated in my area, is the Dallas Cowboys. I only say second most hated because, the Pittsburgh Penguins actually won championships in this fan base's lifetime. It's hard to be the most hated team when you don't win a championship and you can't really find them on YouTube in decent quality. But I gotta actually click out of Washington. I forgot to do that. Moving on to the Dallas Cowboys. Best case scenario. Dak keeps being Dak. I have Dak as that same quarterback as Tony Romo, Eli Manning, and so many others, where they are very good. They can win games. They're not going to cost you games. But I don't feel like you're winning those crucial games because of these guys. Now, looks at best case scenario, the offensive line stays strong, the defense stays strong. The Dallas has a very good thing. They just need to take that next step forward. Unfortunately, I think that needs a quarterback. That's not Dak. Anyway, moving on. Best case scenario, you beat the Browns. You beat the Saints. You lose to Baltimore. I know if I'm usually iffy, I usually go towards the best worst scenario. I just like them a lot better. Yet you crushed the Giants, beat the Steelers. Ooh, I have you lose to Baltimore. I'll give you the Lions as a thing. They're about the same. Week 7 bye week. That's actually a good bye week. But you come off playing the Niners, and in a best case scenario, I still have you losing. Beat the Falcons. Best case scenario, you sweep everybody in your division, which would really piss off Eagles fans. You saying that, but I don't care if they think. You win the Battle of Texas. You sweep the Commies. You sweep the Giants. Beat the Bengals. Week 15 against Carolina. That's actually a great test for the Panthers, but you beat them in best case scenario. Beat the Bucks. Beat the Eagles. Beat the Commies. So in a best case scenario, I have you going 15-2, which is a amazing run. It'll probably get you the first seed. But if there's a best case scenario, there has to be a worst case scenario. And in worst case scenario, in my opinion, Dak stays mid. That offensive line is old and aging, and they're not going to be able to protect him as well. Uh, you have no run game at all. So, but that defense, even in a worst case scenario, the only way that defense gets worse is injuries. Where no one on that defense, off the top of my head, has a history of injury problems, so I can't be like, oh, Micah Parsons always hurt, so he might get hurt again. No, I can't even do that. I think they stay pretty much for healthy. So yeah, worst case scenario is offense sucks. That being said, I still like you better than the Browns. I still like you better than the Saints. You lose to Baltimore. Worst case scenario, you split with the Giants. That's the best I can give the Giants. So this one's at New York. So you lose there. You lose to the Steelers. Mike Tomlin just does Mike Tomlin voodoo and beats you. Lose to the Lions. That's a great bye week. You lose to the Niners. Like everyone else in your division, even the worst case scenario, you beat the Falcons. You get swept by the Eagles. Yep, I said that. Lose to Washington. Lose to the Commanders because in the best case scenario, you probably split with them. This is at Washington. There's that. You beat the Giants at home. You lose to the Bengals. You lose to the Panthers. Yeah, I am high on the Panthers. Like, bite me. It's in Carolina, so I have you losing. You lose to the Bucks, lose to the Eagles, but then beat the Commanders in the final week, putting you guys at 5-12 in a worst case scenario. But realistically, looking at this schedule, there are a lot of winnable games, a lot of tough games. Like, this is one of those schedules where if you guys come out and are a playoff team, you should be a threat to make a deep playoff run. I'm not saying win the Super Bowl. I'm just saying playoff run. Of course, unless you guys get like hit by have to play Green Bay in Dallas because for some reason the Packers own that stadium. But yeah, you should probably get out of round one. But like I kind of always say, the Dallas Cowboys are the Toronto Maple Leafs of the NFL. No matter how good the team looks, no matter how bad their opponents look, they just can't seem to win. But moving on to the final team and my local team, not my local favorite team, but the locals that live near me. I live near, not that far from Philly, in the Haunted Forest of South Jersey. So I see this logo everywhere. Now, best case scenario for the Eagles. That offensive line stays together without Kelsey and stays healthy because I think they have a couple older guys on that offensive line. Jordan Love takes that next step forward, and all their draft picks actually help out that defense, especially the linebacker secondary area, which is that defensive weakness. Now, I really hope they don't go undefeated. It would really hurt me, but they do beat. You'll beat the Packers, beat the Falcons, beat the Saints, beat the Bucks. Week 5 bye. That's not a good bye. That's way too early. So you can get hurt and stay hurt for a long time. You beat the Browns. Yeah, you sweep everybody in your division. Beat the Bengals. Beat the Jags. Like I said, you sweep everyone in your division. So there's the Cowboys. Beat the Commanders. Beat the Ravens. In a best case scenario, I have to give you the toss-up game to the Ravens. Beat the Panthers. Beat the Steelers. Wow, you are going undefeated. Beat the Commanders. Beat the Cowboys. Beat the Giants. Wow, that is a very favorable schedule for a team in first place because, the only real tough games for you will be the Cowboys. As much as I love the Panthers, it's still, I don't think, unless we're really clicking, I don't think it will be a challenge. The Ravens, the Rams. This would be, in a best case scenario, the game that you plausibly could lose because you have to fly across country, but it is a night game. So there is that. But yeah, there are not that many, super tough games. But if we do a best case scenario, we have to do a worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is that offensive line falls apart without Jason Kelsey. Jordan Love does not take that next step forward. Everyone figured him out, so he's just going to be that another slightly mobile average pocket passer. And that defense does not improve, so let's get to it. I have stuff I need to do today. You lose to the Packers. Yeah, Green Bay goes down and wins the battle of the green teams who cannot wear green. That is a real thing. But you beat the Falcons. Yeah, no. That is. You lose to the Saints. Yeah, lose to the Saints. They said, if I'm iffy, I have to go with what it is. Lose to the Bucks. Week 5 bye. God awful. Lose to the Bengals. Split with the Giants, so this is a loss because it's in New York. Lose to the Bengals. I have to give you the Jacksonville. I do like you better than Jacksonville, even in the worst case scenario. Get swept by the Cowboys. Split with the Commanders in the worst case scenario. This one's in Philly, so there is your win. Lose to the Rams. Lose to the Ravens. Lose to the Panthers. Like I said, I like Panthers a lot better than most teams, so most people, so I'll give them the win there. And that also will piss off my coworkers if they watch it. Beat the Steelers. Lose to the Commanders at Washington. Lose to Dallas, and then finish the season off by beating the Giants. Will put you at a record of 5-12. Now, I don't think you'll be 5-12. I have you guys as probably closer to your best case scenario, which means you probably sweep the Giants Commanders. Plausibly sweep the Cowboys. Like Ravens, Rams, you probably beat one of those two teams. Jags and Bengals, you probably beat both those teams. So it's one of those things where it's like there's probably realistically only somewhere between 5 to 6 teams that can beat the Eagles this year. So they should be somewhere around somewhere like 10 to 12 wins this year. Maybe even 13 should be one of those teams fighting for the number 1 seed in the NFC. But that's it. That's all I have. I have real world things to go deal with, so I will see you weird people later.